Welcome to Stop the Badges Weekly Nightly News. I'm Porter Vaughn, and today is Thursday, November 5th, 2015. Today we'll be taking a look at Carly Fiorina. Relatively simple webpage. Her campaign page doesn't really say much other than random facts about herself, accomplishments through her life, how good her charities do, how good HP did when she was CEO of Hewlett-Packard until 2005, how she's all for innovation and business growth, and she's for both small business owners and women, and especially women small business owners, and she loves facts. How many small businesses start up each year? 400,000. How many fail each year? 460,000. And as far as outlining a plan for anything, she really doesn't. But at the bottom of her page, she has a answers tab, no real section for issues, and that brings you to a search engine for her webpage where you can type in a keyword and get, I guess, related statements on those issues. The problem is you have to, you can't just filter through everything. You have to search randomly and hope she's posted on that issue. I did a few searches and a bunch of neither one way or the other, just a bunch of empty statements from her. For example, when I typed in IRS and taxes, I got a video of what she would do for the tax code, and again, another statistic, one I've seen on a few candidates' pages so far. Ben Carson, and it's that the IRS's tax code is 73,000 pages long, and all she says about that is she would make a tax code 3 pages long, because that's how long it should be. 3 pages would cover the tax code, and think of all the savings. Think of all the loopholes for big business that I would close, and all the money that would come flowing out to the middleman and the average American and the small business woman. And it just would be great with a 3-page tax code. But again, no real plan, no how she's going to break down the tax brackets at that point, or any example of a loophole that she would close. Just 73,000 pages is where it is. I want to take it down to 3 pages. Just 3. 3 simple pages. Ben Carson wants you to file your tax report in 15 minutes. Again, neither one of those is a plan. It's just a fact of what the tax code is, how long it currently is, and something that would be nice in their opinion. I also searched up healthcare, and I got a few results there. Again, just kind of fact and fact. One clip I checked out was for vaccinations, which is a hot issue this past year with Ebola and flu season, and well, what about HPV and even the Hep A and B shots and the immunizations for those. Forcing vaccinations on kids, forcing parents to make their kids comply to remain in public schools. It's been a question that we've gone back and forth on, and all Carly has to say about it is that currently a lot of schools require vaccinations. Currently, some parents, for religious reasons, don't want to vaccinate. And then she goes on to say, I like that schools are involved and they demand vaccinations, and I respect religious exemptions from parents. So does that mean in the future only religious documented cases will be allowed, or is she just smiling at both cameras and saying, yes, I agree, without any real stance? Because that's more like what it appears. The only thing she managed to say there that I agreed with, both in the IRS and the healthcare video, was that the federal government doesn't necessarily need to have a role in regulating that, and that should be more, people should rely upon their communities for regulation, especially down to that degree when you're deciding who gets kicked out the village school, who gets kicked off the island. Probably the other people on that island would vote on that, if at all. If you're going to vote on vaccinations and tax codes at all. If you just don't do away with them altogether. But the one issue she consistently stood by on that was federal government doesn't have a place there. She does want to fight ISIS. She does want to fight them through Ukraine. She does want to economically sanction pretty much, but somehow stop the flow, because we could do it numerous ways, of the currency through the worldwide market from Iran. So we can just shut Iran down economically, which would starve out the citizens of that country, send them into chaos and riot and revolution. And I mean, that's not necessarily the best thing. We don't need to just put a chokehold on a country because we don't agree with them trying to pursue the same intellectual properties that we've achieved in, several other first world nations. And we think that they shouldn't have nuclear weapons. When I was growing up, this was North Korea. We were trying to do the same thing to North Korea to keep them from getting nuclear weapons. And everybody was afraid when they got nuclear weapons and ICBMs, and they wanted to launch a satellite, and they wanted to launch a missile, and they wanted to take down the California coast. But at the end of the day, it's kind of self-preservation. I don't think that North Korea is ever going to sentence every one of themselves, including their supreme leader, to death by launching a nuke at us, knowing we have a far larger arsenal of nukes and more sophisticated nukes. Iran's kind of the same way. They don't want to blow themselves off the earth. They just want to advance themselves intellectually and economically. And we're trying to stop that because we don't agree with them. And again, we're using our gauntlet grip hold upon the world to do this through our allies and trade injunctures and economic sanctions and stopping the World Bank, as Carly would have us do. And I don't really agree with any of that, especially the fact that her page is mostly, you gotta search for any kind of issues. It's mostly just personal comments and inspirational statements, like to imagine a new leadership, you first have to imagine a new leader, or something along the lines of that. So I wouldn't really like to see Carly at the end of this race getting sworn into the White House, because that would probably lead us further into, war with Russia and stirring up the Middle East with Iran, and then, of course, the 3-page tax code. If she didn't actually implement that, there'd be a whole thing like there was with Obama phone and free gas, and everybody'd be upset. Then we'd just have another big issue. Anyways, that is our candidate, Carly, for president, Carly Fiorina. And, feel free to check out her page, see if you can find any more information. But I myself didn't find anything that made me want to yell yay, Commander-in-Chief. This is Stop the Badges Weekly Nightly News. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.